you doing over here? I said, I'll tell you what, I won't stay long.
Yeah, you're getting the hell out. I don't blame you. Listen, my television studio and my radio studios are right there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's my neck of the woods, Phil. See what I live in every day?
Oh, my goodness. You look. Yeah, here's the deal, though. Remember this. I identified a mass cross-section of humanity going scurrying to and fro. And I want our listeners to understand, Sean, I love every last one of them. You understand what I'm saying?
No, listen, I know, but there's a certain... No. All right, so you did Duck Dynasty for how many years?
That was about a 5-year run.
Okay, and then you got into trouble, but they still brought you back on the air, but you said you're now unencumbered the way you were by traditional media outlets, and that suggests that, you held back a lot in that show, or they edited out, because I kind of know you.
Every time I told anyone, and I kept trying, look, I'm into spiritual warfare. You, Sean, you deal more with political warfare.
Well, it's one and the same, but wait a minute, Phil, it's one and the same when you really think about it, because...
One and the same, but what I'm telling you is, when you start talking about Jesus, when you start talking about faith, when you start talking about death and sin, what they do is they tend to exclude what you said. So every time I would do one of those interviews, I would talk about what a great thing God did by sending Jesus to remove our sin, for crying out loud, which I had a lot, and so does everyone else. And the resurrection, I said, just think about it, life and immortality, but those kind of things were always edited out. I mean,
well, it's not going to be, but I've known you for a long time. I've never edited you on this show or edited any interview you've been on, and I consider you a friend. I like you. I love your outspokenness. I love that you're not politically correct.
And that's why I'm waiting on you to get the jacuzzi in New York. I'm here, you're here, get the jacuzzi.
Are you inviting me into a jacuzzi? I don't think I like that idea at all.
No gators, no cottonmouth, and we'll bury the old Hannity and the new one.
All right, so what Phil is talking about, he's not talking about us in a jacuzzi together. So I'm down in Monroe, Louisiana, and at the trailer that Phil Robertson lives in, although he built another kitchen for his wife, I guess because you made some money on the TV show. But anyway, so I'm down there, and you're very kind. We're grilling out some steaks, and we're having a good time, and we just hang him doing nothing, and Hannity, you go, this is what you said, I'll never forget, you're sitting in that old grungy chair of yours, and you go, Hannity, you want to get them ratings up? Come on out, let me dunk him, baptize you in that swamp. And I said, Phil, I just saw an alligator out in the swamp. I'm not going in the swamp. So now you're offering to baptize me in a jacuzzi. Nice. Which, by the way, I'm fine with. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Remember, you died of sin, and the old Hannity is buried as coffin, born again.
By the way, there'd be a lot of happy liberals if Hannity was dead. There was even a fake news report that I died in a bicycle accident.
See, we'll film it, and you can put it on your show.
Yeah.
People will see that. What in the world is that? That will give you the opportunity to share.
But it sounded weird when you said, Hannity, let's get ourselves a jacuzzi in New York together. People had no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, you've gotten in this thing up here around the yuppies and all in New York. I was just trying to soften the blow. No gators, no cottonmouths.
Listen, I'll do it in a pool. I'll do it in. I am not doing it where alligators are swimming. I'm just not.
I understand. By the way, 2 days ago.
By the way, if the alligators get me before you finish the job, I'm still going to hell.
Oh, no, you're not. No, the Almighty will be His long on mercy. Day before yesterday, I talked to a guy. He's a contractor, been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan, and with the latest hullabaloo over the president calling his widow. Look, I talked to the guy. He had served in the military, joined back up, still being paid by the United States government. His skill set, he has many. He's been through hell on earth, many close calls, and he just wanted to sit down and talk with me. So I told him the good news about Jesus. One of the things I told him, which is pertinent for everyone to understand, I said, son, he was like one of my boys I was talking to here, serving his country to the death if need be. I said, in the particular line of work you are in, when you joined up for that, your chances of expiring early went up. I said, it's a dangerous line of work. I commend you and I honor you and respect you for doing it. I said, but just remember, there is a resurrection of the dead according to the Bible. Jesus was raised from the dead to show us all there's life beyond the grave. I said, in your line of work, you need to listen very carefully about Jesus dying and 3 days later being raised from the dead. He destroyed death for you. I said, that way, if you continue in your line of work, you will get out of here alive, even if you lose your physical life on this earth. You will be raised from the dead. Listen, he told me, Hannity, alligators, archive mouths, get me down there on that river. So I took him down there. We embraced. I love him as a brother. And he said his next stop was Arizona. And he was contemplating whether he was going to go back over into Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever they are over there in Somalia and all those places. But my point is, make sure everybody who joins up for the U.S. military look into the resurrection of Jesus Christ, because think about it, Hannity, it would make me feel better if death came close. You understand what I'm saying?
Listen, I believe everything I think you believe. I think you're more devout than I am. And yeah, do I believe that Jesus is the Son of God and that he came to earth to reconcile us to the Father? Yeah, I believe all of that. And he suffered, died, and was buried, and he saves us from our sins. Yeah. The only question I have is, why do I keep on sinning? I'm not perfect, you know.
Because the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. When Jesus was resurrected, he stayed 40 days to convince him he was alive, Sean, and he went back into heaven. He now is at the Father's right hand, listen, constantly mediating for the ones who are in him. He's mediating for their sins. The same blood that removes all your past sins is there 24/7, so that no sin is counted against you the rest of your life on planet Earth. So what you got to remember is, you can't start from an infant like you did. You were taught as an infant. You hadn't sinned yet because you didn't know what the law said. That's Romans 7, verse 8. Once your conscience kicked in and you got into them early teenage years, that's when you sinned. Those are the ones, that's why you need to be born again. Infant, too early. Hell's not full of little children, Sean, you know that.
Well, they didn't do anything wrong. I mean, they might have entered the world with sin, but, you know, that's the sin of the world that we were all born with, right?
They entered the world knowing the difference when they got old enough. As an
well, wait a minute. I got to tell you, I know all the time when I do something wrong, don't you?
Sure, but when you were an infant in a crib, you didn't know what immorality was, lying, stealing. You're too young to know those things. When the commandment came to you is when your conscience developed enough.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you going to, on this new show, which is called In the Woods with Phil, it's on CRTV.com.
Yep.
Are you going to be talking, is religion the bigger part of the discussion that you want to have?
I will deal mainly with I'm convinced of one thing, that the fix is more spiritual in America than it is political. Look, Sean, once you take God out of the way and you elevate government as being the one who gives you your rights, not true according to the Declaration of Independence. If you expect the government to feed you, house you, educate you, take care of your health, you say once you elevate the government over God, you have erred big time. Because what you're basically saying is, the government will save me, not God. And that's what we've done in America. We've allowed government to supersede God. But all the texts are plain in the Bible. You can't operate without a consciousness of God without going south. Your sins will weigh you down, and that's where we are in America. The people are the ones, corrupt people beget corrupt politicians.
That's true. I mean, we get
government, and that's what we now have. And we're going to try to change that, and we need to get godly men in positions in the government and go back to what our founding fathers
Well, then maybe you'll have to get out of the woods and go to Washington. Maybe we'll send Phil, first we'll have In the Woods with Phil Robertson, then we'll have in Washington, D.C. with Phil Robertson. But you don't even like being in Times Square more than 15 minutes and you're ready to go home.
Don't expect me to run for political office.
I watched an episode of Duck Dynasty, and the whole family goes on a trip to Hawaii, and you spent the whole time inside your room in Hawaii. You didn't even leave.
It just didn't behoove me to go to